Good afternoon, Dr. BJ ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the sixth session of 5 days online FDP on capacity building in research techniques. Myself, Vidya Bardare, Assistant Professor, Chhatrapati Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research, Kolhapur. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. B.J. Thomas, Department of Social Work, Sardar Patel University, Gujarat. Dr. B.J. ma'am is currently working as a reader in the Department of Social Work, Sardar Patel University, Gujarat. After having BCom from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala in 1992, she completed MSW from Nagpur University, Maharashtra with gold medal and PhD in social work from Shivaji University, Maharashtra in 2008. She had cleared national eligibility test and received the Junior Research Fellowship of UGC New Delhi. Her interest areas are gender, health, and migration. She has done major and minor projects with UGC, ICSSR, ICMR, and Sardar Patel University and published around 55 articles in national and international journals. Once again, I welcome to everyone and I request Dr. B.J. Thomas ma'am kindly start the session on measurement and scaling techniques. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're clearly audible.
Okay. Thank you very much for the welcome extended to me. In fact, it's a matter of pride and pleasure to me to be in this Chhatrapati Shahu Institute, where I was working for 3 years. And I'm so proud to say that I have done my PhD under Dr. Pradeep Kumar, my guide. He's a part of this institute, which is hosting this program. And I've done my PhD from Shivaji University. It's always coming back to cyber for me. Today, the topic I've been given is measurement and scaling. I'll try my best to be to do justice with the topic. As you all know that this is a topic which is so broad and important too. I'll share this slide. I hope the slide is visible, no? Okay.
Visible, ma'am.
Yeah. Measurement and scaling. It's a very important topic, in fact. We do measurement in all type of research, right? We know that measurement has to be done, but unlike other researches in social science research, we know that all the concepts cannot be measured with available scales, available physical scales. For example, if we want to measure the height, we can use a scale. If we want to understand the weight, then we can use a measuring scale, a weighing machine. But in social science, we do deal with many concepts which are abstract in nature, and that physical measurement is not possible. So the measurement, the concept measurement, it refers to assigning numbers to characteristics or attributes of respondents according to certain prescribed rules. We do refer or assign some numbers so that in one way or the other, we will be able to do measurement, we will be able to have something in hand, which will help us to come to the conclusions, which may help us to do certain statistical analysis, and with the help of that, we can come to conclusions. We'll see some abstract concepts. We do deal with our stream, our courses, our profession. That can be attitude towards job satisfaction, or attitude towards gender equality, our perception towards a particular problem, a social problem in the society, or the quality of life experienced by different types of people, maybe working women, maybe the disabled, or maybe anyone, old age people, or anyone. So it is not that easy to measure, right? We cannot pinpoint something from which we know that the attitude is there or not. For that, we may need to follow certain procedures. Then only we may be able to come to a conclusion that a person is having a favorable attitude, a positive attitude, or a negative attitude, or the quality of life is good or bad or better, or in that way we will be able to come to conclusions. It's not that easy with a measurement tool, a measurement like a physical measurement scale. So if we wish to measure the attitude of people towards gender equality, for example, we need to have certain statements. We need to formulate certain statements which indicate the attitude, as the statements can be of any time. We can have several statements, and the total of the statements can be that we may be able to come to a conclusion that what type of attitude people have got towards gender equality. For example, if we are trying to understand the attitude towards gender equality of anyone, such a statement can be given. A woman's most important role is to take care of her home and cook. This is a statement which has been used in, which has been included in a gender equality scale prepared by, developed by, and published by Images, an international authority. So if this is a statement, one of the statements included in a tool which has been developed to understand the attitude towards gender equality, there can be different options given, and the respondents can be asked to rate with which statement, or with which, the option they are being agreeing. So to measure the attitude, we are supposed to assign numbers. In measurement, we have seen that the numbers will be assigned, and these numbers can be in this way: strongly agree. It may start with 1, and then agree 2, undecided 3, disagree 4, and strongly disagree. A Likert scale, there can be 5-point scale, and this is 1 to 5, or it can be given in the reverse form also. Strongly agree can be 5, then followed by agree, undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. And then we will be coming to the conclusion that higher the score, better, or higher the score, bad or negative, the attitude towards gender equality, a favorable or non-favorable attitude towards gender equality. That conclusion we will be able to come by having these numbers, and the analysis with these numbers will help us also to come to conclusions. So why to give or why to assign the numbers? We'll see that what is the need of assigning numbers. All these are qualitative statements, and these qualitative statements we may not be able to do mathematical or statistical analysis with qualitative statements. For example, gender, male and female. We cannot do anything with that, but we need to give numbers to it, and then we will be able to do some statistical analysis, and that is the importance of measurement or assigning numbers. Thereby, it helps us to determine the associations, the effects of a set of variables on others, right? If there is any association, any relation, if these numbers have got, these variables have got on a set of other variables. Here, we need to be clear about the concept of dependent variables and independent variables. Okay, to have the hypothesis, we need to have both these types of variables, and we will be looking into the association this dependent variable has got with independent variables. Right. So what association it has, this statistical analysis will help us to come to this conclusions. So for example, to test the hypothesis, if we have got certain hypothesis, and example here is higher the childhood experiences of gender inequality, higher are the chances of men to perpetrate violence against their intimate partners. Okay, so here two variables are there. One is the childhood experiences of gender inequality experienced by men. This is a tool, in fact, developed by us as a part of our project, which was supported by ICSSR. Right, as a part of this study, we have developed this tool. So, intimate partner violence, that is, men's level of intimate partner violence on their spouses. Fine. So intimate partner violence is been named as IPV. So whether IPV, the level of IPV, perpetration of intimate partner violence by men upon their spouses had got anything, any relationship with her childhood gender inequality experiences or not. That was the purpose of this hypothesis. During their childhood or before they have attained the age of 18 years, what type of gender inequality experiences they had. So to test this hypothesis, we need to measure childhood experiences of gender inequality, that level, and the level of IPV. Both these levels we need to have. Then only it will be possible to do the measurement. Fine. So this childhood violence experiences can be measured with the help of certain statements, a list of statements we need to prepare, and then if anything we have to find out any abstract concept if we want to measure, we need to have certain statements, and the statements, the examples of the statements we have made to understand the level of gender inequality experiences our respondents that men had during their childhood. One was I was severely beaten up by my parents during childhood, right? That means before they have attained the age of 18 years. The options: strongly agree, agree, undecided, disagree, strongly disagree. The same way, I witnessed my mother being physically abused by my father. These were the statements, these are the examples of statements one can ask or one can make related to childhood gender inequality experiences. The same way, to understand the level of IPV, how much perpetration of violence is being done by men upon their spouses or their wives. Okay, the questions can be: slapped your wife or partner, or thrown or tried to throw something at her which could harm her, right? Both the statements are negative in nature, right? So have you slapped your wife or partner, thrown or tried to throw something at her which could harm her? The statements cases it not only this one or two, but many more statements will have to be made. And these are the examples. So when we prepare these types of statements, it gives us freedom to give numbers, to assign numbers to the statements. For both this, we can assign numbers to the responses like strongly agree, indifferent, disagree, and strongly agree, as we have already seen earlier. Right? Then what we have to do is that on summing up the scores, we need to sum up the scores. We need to add on the scores obtained by the respondents we can test the hypothesis. We will be having a total of this scores, and then we will be able to test the hypothesis with the help of this assigned numbers or scores. So this concept of measurement in social research, it has got wide scopes. Usually, we can understand social phenomena, many social phenomena, by asking questions. Or we do follow survey research, survey method we follow to understand or collect data, right? And we do collect data by asking different types of questions or responses. And mainly these responses or questions are classified into 4 broad categories. Okay, the levels of measurement. It is called the levels of measurement. Different types of questions or responses can be classified in 4 broad categories that are known as levels of measurement. Mainly, we can ask questions in any of these ways, or all of these ways. For example, if we want to understand the saving habits of people, we can have questions in all these ways. First, do you save money? But the options given can be yes or no. Second, if yes, how frequently? Here, the first one, we try to understand whether they have that saving habit or not. And in the second question, we are trying to find out how frequently, the frequency of saving. The second question, it measures the frequency of saving. While the third one, what is your range of saving? It help us to understand the range of saving, 5,000 to 10,000, or 10,000 to 16,000. And the last one is how much is your saving? It's exactly how much you are saving, how much you are able to save per day. So these are different ways in which we'll be able to ask questions or collect data on a topic about which we are planning to study. But here, we are very clear that the first question gives us only that understanding whether they have got saving habit or not. While the second question helps us to measure the frequency of saving. And the third, it helps us to understand the range of the saving. And the fourth measures accurately as possible how much they are saving per month. See, the level of measurement, it refers to a set of rules that define permissible mathematical functions. The type of data we have, in which type of question we are asking, and the data we will be having depends upon the type of questions we ask. If we ask in the first way, we will be having only data which can have restricted mathematical functions, with which we can have restricted mathematical functions. Only we will be able to perform on numbers or scores produced by a measure. So what is levels of measurement? It is a set of rules which define permissible mathematical functions. Okay, so that is what is being explained with the help of levels of measurement. So we need to be very clear before we collect data, before we set questions, before we prepare the statements, or before we go to do data collection, which type of data we need to have in our hand once we collect the data. So after we collect the data, at the time of doing the test, or at the time of trying to test the hypothesis, if we are not able to have that data with which we are permitted to do ANOVA, or with which we are permitted to do t-test, that time we cannot go back and collect it, right? So before we collect data, at the time of preparation, research design, at the time of research design itself, we need to be clear about the type of data we are going to collect. So these are the levels of measurement: the nominal level, the ordinal level, interval, and ratio. Fine. So the nominal level data is the lowest level of data. We will see one by one what this nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level of data. Nominal level of measurement, it is the lowest level of measurement, and it has been classified into nominal subclasses, mutually exclusive. Okay, it cannot be, it cannot have any relationship that will be giving only the identity number, or it is only the divisions or subclasses. We cannot do any type of mathematical calculations with this nominal data, right? It will be only classification, divisions. Example, male or female, pass or fail, right? If it is an exam result, we can ask if we are trying to understand the academic performance of children. In nominal level, we can ask exam result in this way. We can give only two options, pass or fail. So from this answer, pass or fail, we'll come to know whether the respondents have passed the exam or failed in their exam. It's nominal subclass, it's mutually exclusive. And the nominal level of measurement, in this, the numbers are assigned to nominal subclasses, and this represents serial order only. It's only numbers. These numbers do not have any mathematical value, right? With this, we cannot do any analysis. It doesn't have any mathematical value. Hence, it has got a very few statistical procedures only can be done with the help of nominal data. It has been considered as the lowest level of measurement. We can do percentage, proportion, ratio, etc. with nominal data. No more advanced statistics cannot be done with nominal data. The second one is ordinal level of measurement. Ordinal level means there is an order. Ordinal level is there's an order in this level, or the relative positions, greater than or lesser than, okay, more than or less, position of objects or persons with respect to some characteristics are defined. Okay, in the ordinal level of measurement, how it is been given, the relative positions of objects or persons with respect to some characteristics. This is a higher level than nominal level. Ordinal level is one step ahead of the nominal level. It has got these features. The feature of nominal level is also there, that is mutually exclusive. Iske alawa, with that, in addition to this, it has got a fixed order also. Okay, it has got a fixed order also, maybe low level, medium level, high level, low, moderate, high, right? So there is a fixed order. Which one is greater than, which one is lesser than, that can be understood from ordinal level of measurement. Some specific statistical procedures are applicable with this, where median can be calculated. So example, level of education. If we are trying to get data about the level of education, one of the very compulsory questions we do include in the demographical detail section of the questionnaire or the interview schedule. We always ask the level of education, primary level, middle level, secondary, intermediate, and graduation. In this, we know that those who have done the graduation, they have got higher level of education than those who have got primary level education, right? So there is an order. It can be given in ascending way or in descending way, greater to the lower to the highest or highest to the lower. The same way the exam result, as we have seen in the nominal one, we have asked whether fail or pass. But here in the ordinal level, if we are trying to get the data, we can ask first division, second division, or third division. If the question has been asked in this way, it's an ordinal level of measurement, right? And this ordinal level of measurement is a higher level than the nominal level, right? And moving ahead, we'll see the interval level of measurement. What exactly the interval level of measurement tells us? Okay, it is a more higher level than the ordinal level. It is higher than the nominal level. It's higher than the ordinal level also. The third level is interval level. Interval level has got one more characteristic, one more feature than the ordinal one. Okay, that is equal spacing. There's an equal space between the the intervals, in addition to the nominal levels characteristic of mutual exclusiveness and the ordinal level characteristic of fixed order. Here, the positions are not only ordered either in ascending order, lower, middle, and higher, or in descending order, higher, middle, and lower, but the intervals of the measurement are also equal. Here, the intervals are equal. That is what we can see in the interval level of measurement. In an interval scale, the interval scale measurement, the zero is arbitrary. Okay, so that is the reason why we cannot compare the proportion. The zero is arbitrary. That is the difference between interval level measurement and ratio level measurement. In ratio level measurement, we can see an absolute zero, while the zero is absolute. But here, in interval scale, the zero is arbitrary, right? Zero is there, but it doesn't mean that the absence of anything. Okay, so if there is a Celsius scale temperature to measure the temperature, the zero is not like that there is no temperature at all. Fine, we cannot assume in that way. That is the reason why interval scales cannot compare the proportion. See the example. With a interval level of measurement, we can measure the intelligence level of people, intelligence level of children, or the IQ tests the IQ can be calculated with the help of an interval level measurement. At the same time, we can ask about the academic performance in an interval scale. If we are trying to find out the data in an interval scale, we can have the grades. The grades can be A, B, C, D. We know that, no? See, once we give results to our students in the mark sheet, it has been written A grade, B grade, C grade, and then the range also is been given, right? From this percentage to this percentage, and the intervals are same in between these classifications. Okay. So the examination result, we can have that grade A, B, C, D, the measurement of intelligence by IQ test and the examination result. Fail and pass in nominal level, then high first class, second class, and third division, that is of ordinal level, and the grades A, B, C, D, this can be of in interval level of measurement. This interval level of measurement, see, each point on the scale is mutually exclusive. It has got all the features of the previous scales also, previous levels also. It is mutually exclusive. It has a fixed order, and the distances between, the intervals are same also. Distances between IQ scores of 90 and 100, and 100 and 110 are equal. And the gap between 90 and 100 and 100 to 110 is 10 points gap. There is the gap is of 10 points in between 90 to 100 and 100 to 110. But see here, we cannot say that a person, those who are having an IQ of 130 is twice as intelligent as a person with an IQ of 65. Okay, that is not right to say that a person having IQ 80 is double the IQ of a person with IQ 40. That is something wrong in saying like that. Why it is like that? Because here the zero is not absolute. It is not. It is only arbitrary, right? So the last level of measurement, or the ratio level of measurement, it requires, or it has absolute zero. So there is nothing that is absolute zero. The ratio level of measurement assumes that there is absolute zero, and this is the highest level of measurement. Highest level of measurement means this is the highest level in all these 4 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level. Among all these, ratio level is the highest level of measurement. In what sense we say that it is the highest level of measurement? It's only on the basis of the possible mathematical mathematical analysis we are able to do with this type of data. All statistical procedures can be applied to ratio level data. So if we are having interval data and the ratio level data, we can do maximum statistical applications can be done with ratio level of measurement. The example of the ratio level measurement includes income. Income can be measured at ratio level because there is no income. That concept is very clear. A person who is not at all earning is not at all earning. Or a person with monthly income of 15,000 has thrice as much as a person earns rupees 5,000. Okay, those who are having 5,000 as income and those who are having 15,000 as income, we can say that the person who earns 15,000 is earning thrice as a person earns 5,000. That is the 3 times more than. The same way exam result, fail and pass, first, second and third division, and third one is the range, the grades A, B, C, D. And the exam result can be asked if you want to have the exam result, the academic performance in ratio level, we can ask for the GPA or GPA. So we will be having the ratio level measurement, right? This ratio level measurement has got all the features of other levels, right? It's mutually exclusive. It has got fixed order. It has got equal spacing. And in addition to all that, it has got an absolute zero also, right? So that is the reason why it is considered as the highest level of measurement. See the levels of measurement, if you put in one slide, if you put together, right, the nominal level, we can understand, or we can ask question, we can try to find out from which gender people belong to. Ordinal level, the attitude scale can be an example for an ordinal level where strongly agree, undecided, agree, strongly, agree. From strongly disagree to strongly agree, we are having the options, attitude or ordinal level. Likert scales are considered as the scales in ordinal level, from low to high. The interval level, IQ can be an example, 95, 100. See the difference between 95 to 100, 100 to 105, all are same. But here in IQ, there is no concept like no intelligence. So here, the zero is arbitrary, while in income, which can be, which the data about income can be collected in ratio level. Here, the distance between these options are same. At the same time, the zero is absolute also. That means person who is earning 10,000 is earning double. A person who is earning 15,000 is earning triple of those who are triple of a person earns 5,000. Fine. So that is the difference between nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level. And what do we mean by levels of measurement? Levels of measurement is a set of rules which defines the possible or allowed mathematical analysis or statistical analysis we can do. We'll see now the types of data and what the type of data has got relationship with these levels of measurement. We have seen that we need to understand or we need to collect data in particular level of measurement. Then we can have statistics. And why statistics is needed? It is a science of decision making, right? In our studies, we need to do higher levels of statistics or advanced level of statistics. Then we will be able to make decisions. We can predict sometimes. If we do regression analysis, prediction can be done on the basis of available data. Or if we do ANOVA, we can understand the difference between more than two groups. If we do t-test, we can understand the difference between two groups, the mean difference and all. So the more advanced statistics we do, the better the decisions we are having, better the conclusions we are having, or the findings we are having, right? So data is a collection of information, right? When we do collect data, we need to understand there are different types of data and mainly it has been divided into qualitative data and quantitative data. Okay, so this qualitative data and quantitative data, in brief, if you try to understand, the qualitative data is data which cannot be measured through physical measurement scale. For example, eye color, type of injury, gender, etc. Male or female, that is the answer we get. And then to translate it into a quantitative one, we need to give code number, maybe 1 or 2, and then we will have to find out the total number of males and females. That is the way we are quantifying the qualitative data we'll be having in our hand. Fine. The qualitative data are in nominal data, ordinal data. Fine. See the nominal data, gender, and the ordinal data can be the types of injury, whether it is serious or not, or preference of selection of doctors, very much preferred, not preferred, etc. The same way, the quantitative data, right? So the quantitative data can be in interval level and in ratio level. Okay, so data which can be quantified or measured by some measurement scale, example, height, weight, blood sugar, cholesterol, income, age, etc., are considered as quantitative data if it can be expressed in terms of numbers. Okay, so the interval data and ratio data, the higher level of measurement, as we have already seen, are quantitative data. So the more the quantitative data we have, the permissible mathematical analysis will be advanced, right? So if we see this data, the data has been divided into two, qualitative and quantitative. The nominal and ordinal data can be qualitative in nature, while interval and ratio data are quantitative in nature. So this interval and the ratio level measurement is considered as the higher level measurement. That means the data in quantitative, the data quantitative in nature is considered as the higher level data. So now why scale is important, right? We need to make scales, or we need to develop scales, or we need to use scales. It's not always compulsory that we need to develop scales or make scales, because there are several standardized tools available in the research field or in the market, right? There's so many people who already prepared scales to measure many things, many concepts, abstract concepts about which they are interested or they wanted to do the studies. Fine. And one cannot use statistical techniques like t-test to ANOVA for qualitative response. It is applicable only if responses are measured in quantitative scale. That is the reason why we need to have quantitative data or the level of measurement or interval or ratio level measurement. It will help us to select correct statistical techniques. Okay. The permissible arithmetic operations according to the levels of measurement can be divided in this way. Nominal help us to have the numbers, no? How many males are there, females are there. Maybe mode, with these numbers we can find out the mode. Then the ordinal level of measurement, it will help us to understand which are the greater than or less than operations. Okay, so this person is more educated or not. The primary level, secondary level, highly educated, more educated than the other one or not. Well, interval level data will help us to do addition and subtraction, but multiplication and division can be done only with ratio level, because only in ratio level the zero is absolute. Interval the zero is arbitrary. That is the reason why multiplication and division cannot be done with interval data. See the nominal data, the lowest level of measurement, names, list of words only can be done. Ordinal, this is number, okay? And ordinal level magnitude, Likert scale or anything rank ordered can be used. Interval, temperature, and ratio, age, height, weight, etc. Now we'll see the possible mathematical statistical analysis which can be done with these different levels of measurement. The nominal, descriptive statistics, frequency, percentage, and mode. Mode is the only measure of central tendency which can be done with the help of nominal data, where the inferential statistics which can be done with nominal data includes binomial test, chi-square test, etc. The ordinal level of data, we can do median, percentile, and the rank correlation. It is rank order. Spearman's rank correlation can be done. Then Kruskal values test can be done. Friedman ANOVA test can be done. But with the help of interval data and ratio level data, height, weight, etc., we can do with ratio level data, we can do all type of tests, t-test, ANOVA, regression, factor analysis, coefficient of variation, etc. So we need to be careful while collecting data, try to get the data in ratio level, right? And then the highest mathematical analysis will be possible, which will give more added value to our findings. The primary purpose of scaling, now we'll come to the scaling. The primary purpose of scaling is to scale respondents along some attitude continuum of interest. Along some attitude continuum of interest. One second, I'll keep it in charge. Okay, the primary purpose of scaling is to scale respondents along some attitude continuum of interest, a range of attitude. Okay, in the scales, there are many types of scales. It has been divided into comparative scales and non-comparative scales. I'll not be going into the details of these types of scales here. I'll discuss only about Likert scale. Okay, so the Likert scales are very much used by social science researchers. Okay, so the Likert scale it's a widely used rating scale that requires the respondents to indicate a degree of agreement or disagreement with each of a series of statements about constructs or stimulus or objects. In a Likert scale, there is a degree of agreement and the respondents are supposed to rate themselves, like with the respondents to indicate a degree of agreement, how much they are agreeing with that particular statement. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. It can be a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale usually. It is a psychometric scale commonly involved in research that employs questionnaires, okay, or interview schedules. Fine. Many times the Likert scales are being used in interview schedules also. The researcher, they themselves ask questions or they appoint the field investigators. They do collect data from the respondents. So it becomes interview schedules. It's the most widely used approach to scaling responses in survey research. We do conduct survey research. We do go and collect data from persons, people, primary data we collect. Face-to-face interviews have been taken and then we collect data. So I'll tell you the steps in developing a Likert scale, how far it is possible for us to develop a Likert scale. As I told you many times, we get a ready-made standardized tool. But at times, if we are really interested in a topic and all our search failed us to find a suitable scale with the factors which we want to include in our study or the constructs we want to include in our study, if that type of scale is not available, we may feel like developing a scale, right? So there are different types of researchers. Some may compromise with a topic about which the scales are available. So it is easy. And some may go for developing a scale. They don't want to compromise with that interest area. They want to do study in that particular area itself. So they may go to develop a scale. So what are the steps in developing a liquid scale? There are 6 steps given over here. The steps include, first one, compiling probable scale items or statements. We need to have certain statements related to the concept, related to the construct, or the abstract concept is known as construct, right? So about that construct, what all items we need to include. So we need to select certain items, then we need to administer the questionnaire, a draft to a random sample of respondents. We need to compute the total score for each respondent, right? Each respondent's total score will be calculated, and then determine the discriminative power of items, right? Each item, whether that item has got a discriminative power or not, will have to be calculated with the help of item analysis, a procedure which I will tell you later. Then selecting the scale items. We need to select the scale items after doing item analysis. Certain criteria we need to follow, and then we'll be able to decide whether this item can be included in this scale or not. And last, testing reliability and validity. We need to test the reliability and validity of the scale we have developed. A very important concept, reliability and validity, which is very much included in the development of the scale. Right? So starting with the first step, compiling scale items. How can we compile scale items or statements? From where we will get the idea, right? So it is possible for any researcher to compile a large number of statements, probably 75 to 100 statements concerning their attitude towards, or people's attitude towards a construct or a stimulus or an object. Okay, so if we want to study about job satisfaction, right, if you want to study about organizational culture, quality of life, or work-life balance, we need to decide, or we need to make some statements related to the constructs we want to include in that study, right? So that is the first step, right? Then each of the statement is classified as favorable or unfavorable through a continuum with regard to the feeling towards a construct or stimulus object. A range of agreement, a degree of agreement, favorable to unfavorable, or strongly agree to disagree. A range should be given for each statement, and the respondents should be asked to tick with the degree of agreement, right? So in the second step, so that is the first step. So how can we make the statements, right? The statements can be prepared by the researchers with the help of, like, the experts in that particular field, or having a thorough review of literature. They can read a lot. They can go through the relevant topics in the books, journals, articles, etc. The research is done by other people to have concept clarity. That all can be done, and after having discussion with the experts working in the field, these statements, okay, the first made compiled statement of 70 to 100 can be made. Once this statement, the list of statements is ready, so this draft scale is to be administered to a random sample of respondents. Once the statements are ready, once we prepare the statements, a number of statements, we need to do a pre-test. We need to test it. We need to find out whether the statements included in this list are proper or not, whether it has got the discriminant value or not, whether these items can be included or not. So to decide that, the draft scale, the set of statements is administered to a random sample of respondents, maybe 100 respondents. So the statements can be given, and they can be asked to, respondents can be asked to indicate their agreement with every item or statement by ticking in the appropriate box. See, there is a degree of state agreement given, the options are given, and the respondent is asked to tick with every item or statement, which indicates their level of agreement, right? If they strongly agree with the statement, they'll tick over here. So like data collection, the statements are being given. Let us assume it is an example. Let us assume that we wish to assess men's childhood gender equality experiences. As I told you, this is a scale we have developed. Fine. So we wanted to understand men's childhood gender equality experiences. For that, we had developed 12 questions. See, gender equality experiences altogether, we had more questions, but one of the concepts, one of the factors included in gender equality, that concept is gender role. So under the title gender role as a factor, the 12 statements included. Right? The 12 statements which we have included in this list of statements, and these 12 statements are given over here. The first one, my sisters were expected to do cooking while I was not supposed to do the same. Before they had with respect to gender role in their own families or neighborhood, what was their experience? My sisters had to wash utensils while I was not asked to do the same. During social functions, my sisters had to stay back to manage the house while I was sent to school or college. During emergencies, my sisters had to stay back to manage the house while I was sent to school or college. Social functions, yeah, emergencies. Emergency may include if someone is sick or some functions, whatever it is. I saw my father helping mother in cooking. I saw my father helping mother in washing, in cleaning, helping mother in taking care of children. I saw my father ordering and mother getting things done for him. I was served food by female members of my family. I always had the privilege of getting my clothes washed by female members of my family. I always had the privilege of getting my plates washed by female members of the family. So these are some statements prepared and had given for pre-test to respondents under the head gender role in gender equality experiences, childhood gender equality experiences scale developed for men, right? So in this, as you have seen, see there are certain items which have been given asterisks, right? These statements are positive statements. I saw my father helping mother in cooking, helping mother in washing, while rest all the statements are negative in nature, right? The items 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, and 11, while they are all classified as negative statements, these 4 statements are positive in nature, right? And while administering the scale, the respondents were asked to tick the number that most represent his attitude towards the statement. If they are strongly agreeing with that statement, they are supposed to, or they were asked to tick near to strongly agree. If they are not at all agreeing, strongly disagree. They were supposed to tick strongly disagree. In the scoring process, weights are assigned such that the direction of attitude to agreement, that means agreement to disagreement, is consistent over items. In all the items, there should be consistency. In one statement, it is agree to disagree, and in the other, it should not be disagree to agree. There should be a consistency over all the statements, the direction of attitude, right? So that has to be taken care. And in the scoring, we need to be careful for the positive statements. If strongly agree is given 5 scores, the highest score, followed by agree 4, undecided 3, disagree 2, and 1. For the negative statements, we need to give it in a reverse way, fine? Because we are trying to find out the attitude towards, the gender inequality, equality experiences, right? So for positive statement, I saw my father helping mother in cooking. Those who are strongly agreeing, 5 points are given. For the negative statement, For the strongly disagree should get 5. I saw my father ordering and used to be served by others, right? So in that case, 5 should be given to strongly disagree. So this is the way the scoring of the responses should be done. And in the third step, we need to compute the total score for each respondent. Every respondent's total score should be calculated. See, there are 12 items in this scale to find out the gender role related attitude experience. The maximum score can be 12 into 5, right? So each person's total score is determined by adding his item scores. So a total score, what is the total score? That should be found out. And then in the third step, the total scoring will be calculated. Then comes the fourth step, that is determining the discriminative power of the items. This is a very important step. We need to calculate the discriminative power of the items. What is the discriminative power? Whether the items have got the power to discriminate well between the high and low groups. Okay, and those items which have got the discriminative power only will be kept in the scale. Rest all the items will have to be discarded. So to find out which items have got discriminative value, we need to find out which item has got the item analysis will have to be done, and the item analysis can be done with the help of finding out the scores of low scoring subject, the respondents who are at the bottom 25% score and the respondents who are at the high 25% score, right? They will be at the ends, the right and the left. Fine. The high scorers and the low scorers, the middle scorers will be removed. 50% will be removed. 50% respondents will be removed. Okay. And the high scorers 25% and the low scorers 25% will be kept. Fine. And then each item number 1 or statement number 1, each item will be calculated, each item will be analyzed, and the items with highest T values were selected. Okay, the T analysis or T value, after finding out the mean value of item number 1 between the highest 25% or the high scorers and the low scorers, right? The T value will be calculated of item number 1, item number 2 between the high scorers and the low scorers, and only those items which have got the items not having greater than or equal to 1.75, right? So all those items not having more than 1.75, all will be removed. So minimum score should be 1.75. So this items having 1.75 can be retained, rest all the items will be removed. Okay, this finding out this score is known as item analysis. Selecting the scale items, retaining the items with at least 1.75 score is known as item analysis, and the rest all the items can be removed. In this case, we have seen, there were 12 statements, and after item analysis, only 4 items were kept. Rest 8 items, all 8 items are discarded from the list of statements. From the list of 12 statements, all those 8 items not having 1.75 score were removed, and these are the items retained in the final scale. See, these items, in 2 items are positive in nature and 2 items are negative in nature. Once we calculate the item analysis, all the items will be put in ascending or descending order, and then we need to find out which are the items which are having 1.75, retain that, and then discard all the other items. So that is selecting the scale items or the statements. And the last step is testing reliability or validity. Testing reliability and validity. It's a very important point, and we need to see what is reliability and what is validity. I'm sure that you all must be knowing reliability and validity, right? So we do teach our children, our students about reliability and validity. Reliability, in fact, is how reliable a person is and how trustworthy a person is, right? If he or she says something, if again, if that person is asked, how old are you? What is your age? And if the child said 10 years, okay, after some time again, if he is asked, what is your age? Right? If he gives another answer, we say that sometimes the person is not trustworthy. Right? The same way reliability, if we want to measure the height of a child, we will use a tape with which we'll be able to have the height. And if it shows that 4.8, right? If you use the same measurement scale to measure the height, we should get 4.8. The first time we get 4.8 inch. The second time also we should get 4.8 inch. Third time also we should get 4.8 inch, because the person is same and the measurement scale is also same. So if we get the same result, we conclude that the measurement tool or the tape with which we have measured the height is a reliable measurement tool. Okay, so the reliability is the trustworthiness of the scale we are using. Right? This can be done with the help of different observers, different time, etc. Then what is validity in fact? Validity is also a very important concept. In this example, we may be using this machine. Sorry, we may be using the tape to measure the height, and we get the same result every time. Okay, so that doesn't mean that the scale is valid. That scale is reliable. Okay, because every time we get the same result. But if that scale itself is not a correct scale, okay, if the scale is not a correct scale, if that scale is if there is some mistake in the scale, right? So the height of the child, the height of the person actually may not be 4.8. So that validity is not there. So validity is what? It is the what we are trying to measure, whether the scale measures what we intend to measure or not. Okay, really what we need to measure is be measured by that scale or not. If we are using a scale and if that scale is measuring what we are trying to measure, if we are getting the true result, then we can conclude that the tool we are using is valid. We are getting the valid result, right? The reliability versus validity. The reliability, the results can be reproduced when the research is repeated under the same condition. Reliability and validity with respect to research is a tool we are using can be considered as a reliable tool if the tool results can be reproduced, if the results can be reproduced when the research is repeated under the same conditions. If you are conducting a research, right, and we are getting the result, if that can be reproduced and repeated when the research is repeated, if you get the same result, then we may conclude that, we can conclude that it is, that tool has got reliability, right? And this can be assessed, how it can be done, by checking the consistency of the result across time, right, across different observers and across parts of the test itself. Okay, different time it can be done with the help of different observers, it can be done, and with different parts of the test, maybe the first part and the second part, A and B, right? While validity is the extent to which the results really measure what they are supposed to measure, as we have seen now, right? So how the validity can be checked? A tool we will be preparing, a scale we will be preparing, we need to keep in mind that The statements we have done, the item analysis we have done, but whether it has got reliability or validity, that also has to be checked. That is the final step. Whether it corresponds to established theories and other measures of the same concept. If you are preparing a tool to understand the level of depression, for example, and then the tool we prepare, whether it corresponds, the findings we have has got any correlation with the theories, the established theories in the societies, and with other measures of the same concept. If we compare it, correlate with another tool developed for finding out the depression, there should be correlation between the findings. Then only can be considered as a valid measurement tool. There are different types of reliability. One is test, retest reliability. This you must have heard a lot. Test, retest reliability. It is across the time. Fine. You get the same result when you repeat the measurement. You are conducting a measurement today, maybe after 2 days. If you do test to find out the personality traits, if you are trying to find out the personality traits of a group of participants, and if they repeat the questionnaire days, weeks, or months apart and get the same answer, which indicates a high test, retest reliability. 2 दिन में, 3 दिन में, 5 दिन में, personality trait में, there won't be much differences, right? So if that tool is reliable, the results should be same. Okay, in between, like weeks or months apart, the result should be same. Then we can conclude that it has got a test, retest reliability. And it can be find out with the help of correlation. The first test and the second test or the third test, there should be a correlation of about 0.7 or 8 or higher than that are considered as acceptable level of reliability. Test, retest reliability is the correlation. Okay. And then the inter-rater reliability. The raters or observers. If an individual is being, if a group of people are being assessed by different observers using the same tool, the result should be same, the findings should be same. For example, if you are assessing student A, okay, and then another examiner is also assessing student B. A third examiner is also assessing, another examiner is also assessing student A. Third examiner is also assessing student A, and all three assessors, all three examiners are using the same tool. The result should be same. It doesn't matter whether the observer is changed, but the tool remains the same, and then the result should remain the same. Based on assessment criteria checklist, if 5 examiners have been substantially different results for the same student project. This indicates the assessment checklist has low inter-rater reliability, or the criteria too subjective. For example, examiner A, B, C have got a scope of testing subjectively. Okay, the examiner's biasness, the examiner's prejudices, examiner's way of questioning, way of presenting the question, if all that come in between, the consistency of a measure, it affects, right? So there will not be inter-rater reliability. Internal consistency, as we have seen, the third one, the internal consistency, the consistency of the measurement itself, right? If we do prepare a tool to find out the level of job satisfaction, okay, so we can find out whether the tool has got internal consistency or not. That means, do you get the same results from different parts of the test? And there should be an internal consistency. It should not be like that some questions, the score is like that, and some other questions, it is in a different way. So the internal consistency can be find out by splitting the questions into 2 parts, randomly split the results into 2 halves. There should be a strong correlation between 2 sets of results. For example, in your tool, if you have got 20 questions, right, you can have question number, the odd numbers in part 1 or section A, and even numbers in section 2, and then the correlation can be found out, and there should be strong correlation between these two parts, right? If the two results are very different, this indicates low internal consistency. So the internal consistency is also important. The calculation of coefficient alpha is common method for using calculating internal consistency. If you have done studies, no, in PhD and also in dissertation, we do adapt certain tools, already existing tools, but we do find out whether it has got reliability or not. And many researchers, they do conduct this split half internal consistency reliability by finding out the coefficient alpha. So it helps us to understand whether the tool we have used is whether we have used has got internal consistency or not. The alpha of 0.9 and above have got excellent internal consistency, while 0.8 to 9 has got good. Somewhere lower alphas also are considered as acceptable for relatively short instruments, right? The split half reliability. So it is very important before we adapt any standardized tool already available in the market, before we administer it. Once we administer it, we need to understand whether it is a culturally oriented tool or not. If we use the foreign tools or tools developed in other countries or other culture, we need to test its reliability, whether it is suitable for a community, suitable for the group of respondents on whom we are administering it. Whether it is a culturally oriented tool or not will have to be decided or can be decided with the help of coefficient alpha. So this is reliability. And then what is validity? So this is the last one. The validity is harder to assess than reliability, but it is even more important. We need to be very, very careful. We need to be very specific that the tool we are using has got validity or not. That also we need to keep in mind. Right? To obtain useful results, the methods used to collect data must be valid. The collected data must be valid. The researcher must be measuring what it claims to measure. If we are saying that we are trying to find out the level of depression, and our tool is not of assessing the level of depression, as we have seen, we have tried to find out the height of a person, but the tool we have used itself was not a correct tool. It was a tool with lot of deficiencies. It was not marked properly. The tool itself was not valid. We cannot claim that our findings are true. Okay, if we are using an invalid tool, our findings may not be valid. Our findings cannot be the correct findings, or it cannot be generalized many times. Okay. There are different types of validity also. As we have seen different types of reliability, there are different types of validity too. The first one is construct validity. Okay, construct validity. It is the degree to which a measure relates to other variables as expected within a system of theoretical relationships. As we have seen in validity, whether our measures relates to other variables. What we are measuring has got in a relationship with other tools which are supposed to measure what we are measuring. Right? So to understand construct validity, we can see whether our tool has got convergent validity and discriminant validity. Okay, there are two types of construct validity. One is convergent validity and the other is discriminant validity. Convergent validity is that whether our tool has got a correlation with the findings, are correlated with the findings we have with a related or with a tool, the findings we have with the tool which are supposed to measure the same variable. Okay. So here a measure has convergent validity when its results correspond to the results of other methods of measuring the same construct. Right? Here there is an example given. If the clients whom clinicians identify as having low level of marital satisfaction, clinicians, that means doctors, they do identify some people who have got lower level of marital satisfaction. So they should score lower levels of marital satisfaction with the scale we have used to identify the level of marital satisfaction. So the scale we are using, that finding and the findings of already available tools which are supposed to measure the same construct should correlate each other, right? I'll give another example, a tool which has been developed to find out the level of depression by a famous, mentioned in a famous study. It is a dog depression scale. Okay, dog depression scale, the level of depression is the found level of depression, and a different tool which was already there, a standardized tool which is already there. So these two findings have got a correlation of 0.4, right? You see, if there is a correlation between these two scales, that means the scale has got convergent validity. It corresponds with the results of other tool which is already in use. But at the same time, the discriminant validity is that a measure has discriminant validity when its results do not correspond as highly with measures of other constructs as they do with other measures of the same construct, right? See the example given over here. The scale is really measuring marital satisfaction. It should correspond with other scales of marital satisfaction. It should not correspond more highly with measures of self-esteem or depression. Okay, so if your scale is measuring depression, it should correspond more with other scales of depression. It should not correspond, or it should not correlate more highly than with scales which are measuring levels of anxiety or levels of self-esteem. It is supposed to measure high with other scales which are measuring the same construct we are measuring. Is that clear? What is a convergent validity and the discriminant validity? In convergent validity, we are correlating our instrument with already available related tools, and there should be correlation. And in the discriminant validity, we are comparing the correlation our tool has got with related tools and the tools which are supposed to measure other variables. Okay, instead of depression, if our tool is correlating higher in a higher level with tool of self-esteem or anxiety than with other tools of depression, it doesn't have discriminant validity. Okay, another validity is content validity. Content validity is a very important point, and it is very easy to understand also, right? If we are trying to understand the intimate partner violence, the level of partner violence perpetrated by men, and we know that the violence, violence has got different aspects, right? In domestic violence definition itself, it is said that violence includes different types of violence. For example, physical violence, emotional violence, economic violence, sexual violence, etc. So if we are developing a tool, we need to include all the aspects of violence. Otherwise, it cannot have content validity. Okay. Here, if you are trying to measure the class of students' level of English contains reading, writing, and speaking components, but not included listening component. Okay. So the experts agree that listening comprehension is an essential aspect of language ability. But this tool we have developed, if it doesn't have listening component as a content, as its content, so it doesn't have content validity. If we show our tool to a group of experts, they will definitely say that this tool is not complete, it's not comprehensive, because it lacks content validity. Without listening component, you cannot claim that your tool is measuring the level of English. Okay, measure the class of students' level of English knowledge or level of English proficiency, because it includes listening component also. So definitely we need to include listening component also as a component when we prepare a scale. The last one is criterion related validity. The criterion related validity is divided into three, that is predictive validity, non-group validity, and concurrent validity. Okay. Criterion related validity, in this we select an external criteria that we believe is another indicator or measure of the same variable, right? So the predictive validity is we are using a tool to find out something today, okay? Whether it has got predictive validity or not can be find out with the help of an external criteria that will occur in future prediction. For example, today if we are using a individual's performance on a driving test if we are administering, and the driving test validity, we can decide if or by correlating it, the driving test result of finding, if we correlate it well with a person's driving ability, right? So the predictive validity assumes that the score of a person, highly scored or high performance on a driving test, that individual should have better driving ability, right? So if the driving test constructed by us tries to find out, or it correlates with the driving ability of people, then it has got predictive validity. Performance test, in that test, the person had scored well, but the person cannot drive at all, then something is wrong, that is what is assumed, right? The second is concurrent validity, that is known as non-concurrently, a group, the degree to which an instrument corresponds to an external criteria is non-concurrently, right? In this, the interviewing skills, a tool developed to measure the interviewing skills of the student. The students who are being measured, if they have got high scores on the interviewing skills measurement tool, they are supposed to score well in an interview or scores given to them in videotapes in which they role played interviewing situations. They have done role playing, and on the basis of that role playing, which have been videotaped, they have been assessed, right? And the interviewing skills score and this assessed scores, the scores they have got on this video, on the basis of this videotaped interviewing role plays, it should match or it should correspond. Then we can conclude that there is a concurrent validity. If that are contradicting, then something is missing or the validity cannot be claimed by the tool developers. And the last one is non-group validity. Non-group validity is whether an instrument accurately differentiates between groups known to differ in respect to the variable measured. See, we can have different groups, and we know that these groups are different. For example, if we have got three groups, okay? One is of experienced clinical social workers, another is first year, the freshers, students in MSW, and third is undergraduate engineering students, right? So if we are preparing a tool to measure the interviewing skills, we know that experienced clinical social workers are good in interviewing. They must be having good interviewing skills compared to the MSW students or the engineering students. They are supposed to have less interviewing skills as they work with machines. They don't work much with human beings, so the soft skills must be less in engineering student. That is the assumption. So the average score achieved by these three different groups varies, right? See, the experienced clinical social workers score is 97, far better than the MSW students, and again it's very high while compared with the engineering students. See, there is a difference, clear difference between these non-groups. then we can conclude that there is non-negative validity. But at the same time, if they don't have much variance at all, they don't have much difference at all, 71, 74, 73, right? So there's something missing. There's something wrong in this tool. That can be the assumption. Right? So this is the types. These are the types of validity. Now I'll conclude with the internal validity and external validity. Can I have 2 more minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
So the internal validity and the external validity. Internal validity is the extent to which can be confident that a cause and effect relationship established in a study cannot be explained by other factors. Okay, so if we need to ensure that our tool has got external validity, the cause and effect relationship, we say that there is a relationship between two variables, a dependent variable and independent variable. So that should be there. There should be a true correlation. There should be a true association between these two variables. And the cause and effect relationship showed in this test should not be explained or cannot be explained with an extraneous factor or a third factor. There should be a true relationship between the variables. Fine. So it should not be explained with the help of a third reason. And there should be some points we need to keep. There's some conditions of internal validity. There are 3 necessary conditions for internal validity. These conditions are the treatment and response variables, they change together, and the treatment precedes changes in your response variables, and there should not be any confounding or extraneous factors can explain the result of your study. For example, if you are conducting a training program for 2 groups of students and coming to a conclusion that the experimental group is performing better, fine, that we may conclude that the training we have given is very effective and that is the reason why the performance is better. But if we have not assigned these groups randomly, right? See, if the group A with which the training was given was of good performers, so that level of performance itself could be the reason why they have been performed well. So there's an extraneous variable. So then the internal validity is less. External validity is the extent to which we can generalize our findings on a population, right? So that is external validity, and there's always trade-off between external and internal validity. The more we try to minimize the external validity and then improve the external validity and internal validity, then the external validity may get affected, right? Okay. Hope you have understood the main points about scaling and measurement. So that's end from my side.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Participants,
you so much.
now the session is open for your queries. You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can put your questions into the chat box.
Beji madam, your presentation is very nice.
Thank you so much, sir.
You have learned so many things.
Okay.
Scaling and all we know much actually. There are so many things that we can.
Okay. In fact, the presentation I'll be able to mail to the organizers, and maybe like no, if it is allowed, you can have the slides also.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We will share.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening, madam. Thank you for the nice presentation. I have a question regarding validity, madam. So,
Okay.
suppose I know an instrument based on the review of literature used for similar studies. I can straight away use that. Should I do any other validity test, madam?
See, if you are using a scale which has already been published, usually you can use it seeing whether that scale is being contextualized, culturally contextualized or not. Right? See, some statements, if a tool has been developed in a Western country, okay, for example, a gender equality, gender attitude scale, attitude towards gender equality, say a tool which is developed in Philippines, a tool which is developed in the US can have culture related statements in that. They may have more questions about intimate relationships. They may have more questions about the sexuality or the gender role, which may not be culturally contextualized in Indian settings. In that way, you can test the reliability of the test. You can do a pilot study and see whether that statements are culturally proper questions or statements in our settings. If that question has been skipped, the respondents are not giving responses at all, if they are not at all feeling comfortable, then there's no meaning in keeping that question. And the reliability also can be checked and then can be used. So anyone, anywhere made a tool cannot be used by the researchers, just like that.
No, I'm talking about a validity. If it is in Indian context, if it's done for similar studies, should we do a validity test? That's what my question.
It has already been validated. No, it has already been validated.
Yeah,
and in the tool manual, it is clearly been given.
And when do we have to do this internal and external validity? Which part of our research, at the end of the research, or when are we supposed to do that?
Internal validity and external validity, we have to be, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, 1 second. I'll show you this one. The internal validity and external validity, there are many threads, right? So that part I have not explained, in fact, because I thought that the time is up, right? So there are many threads in internal validity and external validity. The threads can be history, okay, fine, and then it can be maturation. History is a week before the end of the study, all employees are told that there will be layoffs. See, we need to be careful about that. The history can be a threat. Maturation can be a threat. Instrumentation can be, the testing can be threats. So what can be done to counter the threats? We can make changes in our experimental design or research design. We need to be careful when we prepare the design itself, not after conducting the study. When we prepare the design, we have to be careful about the threats related to the internal validity and external validity. For example, having a control group, it can counter all threats to the single group studies. A control group, for example, the example given over here, right, is if the comparable control and treatment groups face the same threat, the maturation, or the control group and the experimental group are having the same threats of history, and the outcomes of the study won't be affected by these threats, right? That will be countered with the help of this experimental design. Okay, a single group design can be replaced with a control group design if we are very much aware about the threats of internal validity. At the same time, a multiple group study, the threats can be countered with the help of selection bias. Okay, for example, if two groups have been made, right, group A and group B, at the time of selection itself, we do randomization. While selecting the respondents itself, if you are very careful, we can have that randomization and then that error will not be there. So in that way, we can maintain so we can counter the external validity. Hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you, madam.
No more questions. Anyone wish to ask any question? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Chhatrapati Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research, Kolhapur, I would like to thank Dr. B.G. Thomas for delivering such a wonderful and informative talk on measurement and scaling techniques. Ma'am covered various aspects of measurement and scaling techniques, appropriate examples. She talked about data and key points regarding data collection, types of reliability and validity in detail. Ma'am, really you explored such a broad topic in very precise manner. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also thank to all the participants for patiently listening. Again, I thank you all for making this session success. See you tomorrow at 10:30 for next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sonia ma'am, Pradeep sir,
Thank you.
Shivam sir, everyone. Thank you so much. Nice
It was
meeting you
really
all.
nice, BJ. Nice to hear you after long.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was really nice. But the participants will be meeting tomorrow at 10:30. Thank you so much for your wonderful cooperation you have been giving to us. But please remember, attendance is very, very compulsory. You have to mute your mics as well as off your cameras. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah. BG bol.
I can leave?
Yeah, BG.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Chal, bye. Stop the recording and mute.